Most people don't need more advice, just the courage to gently face what they've been avoiding.
Because growth sounds beautiful until it asks you to be honest with yourself and stay. So, welcome to this episode of Touched and Empowered. I am Katie here with Ace, and I have a very interesting question for you.
What is
All
it?
right.
Yeah.
Have you ever had something that you wanted so badly and it just didn't happen? We're talking a job, relationship, an opportunity.
Yes.
So, do you think this was a delay in protecting or was it teaching patience? Because you and I have talked in the past before
Yes.
about how sometimes random things show up and it prevents us from completing a certain task or for something to happen. And there are times it's like, I am so glad that person called and I did not have to go out when it was downpouring rain. Or, oh my gosh, that got in the way and I missed this great opportunity. So there's the possibility of a delay being a negative because it prevents you from getting what you want. And then there are sometimes that's a positive from the standpoint as to you didn't have to do something you didn't want to do, or it's delaying gratification.
So I think I've had both. Um,
Hmm.
One of them was like maybe I wanted to date this guy a very long time ago.
Okay.
I'm really glad I didn't date that guy a long time ago.
Okay.
Like really glad I didn't date that guy a very long time ago for reasons that don't need to be said. Um,
We're not looking for explanations in reference
yeah.
to, those particular kinds of situations. But it's food for thought.
Yeah. The other was yeah, I needed that space of understanding patience 100%. Otherwise, it would just be bad for my s- my what do you call it? For my why can't I think of words anymore? Psychology, my mental
Mental
health.
health.
Thank you.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
mental so just for reference, everybody, it is 90 degrees in Los Angeles right now. So the heat gets to you, like it really does. And I live on a third floor of a building, so heat
And
rises.
heat rises.
And I have a lot of great light in this apartment. So, just to give you a little bit of a reference, if I'm
You're a
blank,
little toasty.
yeah, if I'm blanking out on words, I can't. I'm not that I'm trying to blame the heat. I'm doing my best to articulate words as my body is interrupted and stimulated by warmth. So please, please
Okay, so we'll use that as an example. You have something that is creating physical discomfort,
yeah, sure.
which is could be preventing you from accomplishing something later today. Do you perceive it as being a negative or do you perceive it as being a positive?
Right now, I perceive it as insanity. Um, yes. Is
Which
that
again could be negative or positive.
possible? Oh, yeah, that's what I see it as. I see it as it is something that is creating space
Right?
for me not to move as quickly as I normally would. Yeah.
And again, I think context is key because there are times that we need to move quickly, and then there are times that it's nice to not have to move quickly.
Yeah. I also find that, all right, so Katie lives in Maryland. I live in Los Angeles. Normally, here is not 90 degrees,
Right?
nor is it normally in the 40s, but this year we got both. S-
No, trust me, because a few days ago I had 75-degree weather, and the
Right.
next day I had snow.
Right. It's been happening. It's like the weather hasn't been consistent lately. And when that happens, that also, even on a subconscious level, interrupts your nervous system.
I can see that.
Yeah. So entangling that and understanding that's not a norm, everything kind of gets activated a little bit more. And therefore, your mind also needs some time to settle its thoughts because everything is different just because of that subtle change that you're usually normally
That you're
comfortable
not
with.
expecting.
Well, yeah, for instance, when I went through the 40-degree week here in Los Angeles, I didn't launder my pants or sweatpants.
No, because you were constantly wearing them.
No, because I was constantly wearing shorts. I didn't,
Oh, you
I
said
wasn't,
while it was 40 degrees, you were not washing your pants. I misheard you. That's
no,
what
no,
I heard.
yeah, so prior to that, I usually
So
stow,
prior to the temperature drop,
yeah, I normally like stow all my winter clothing. I don't normally need it when I'm here.
right? And then suddenly the temperature dropped and you needed it.
Yeah, and I was wearing shorts and blankets, and this was not working. So, so thinking about it that way, those different types of volatility, that also kind of adds to it the delays. Like if you have a delay in something, predominantly it's because there's something coming that you don't see. That's what I've acknowledged in my own life. Like right now.
True, true. And again, it's perspective. It's how we think about these challenging or uncomfortable times that we get through that,
Yeah. I've also noticed that when something isn't aligned, that right there already tells me it's either delayed
right?
or it's protection. And let's unpack aligned too.
Okay.
For instance, if you are aligned with something, you're pretty much on the same, you could talk about quantum physics, you're on the same frequency for it, but also on a physical reality um, perspective, you're also prepared for it. You're already prepared for it, even if you don't know it yet.
That makes sense. Because but it's a little bit more than just the intuitive side of it, because you also want to make sure that you're aligned with your values, your goals.
Yes. Yes, additionally to that, yeah.
So there's a lot of moving components, I think, in the word alignment by itself.
Yeah, especially frequency, because I feel like,
Yeah,
and
because that's not a visual.
yeah, so visual, yeah. Now let's add a visual to it. If you put water and oil together, does it mix?
No,
No, exactly. And if you think about energetic frequencies, it's very similar. It's like if one side of the magnet is with an like if two magnets are together and the poles are opposite, they're gonna,
right, they're going to spread apart
yeah,
versus if they're facing each other, they move closer to each other because they're
yeah,
opposites.
and the poles are aligned. So when you think about, we're gonna go into science for a second. When you think about when you think about magnetic metals or anything that has a specific type of electric charge, there's like little there's like the molecules are aligned in a specific formation
Right?
so that the electric current can go through it, right?
Yes, they kind of form a straight line, I think.
Exactly, yes. So if you have something that doesn't have that same polarity, it's not aligned, and then you'll get an electrical shortage and something might break or combust or implode. So if you think about it that way on a physical plane with humans and what you're doing, yeah, the delay or protection, that's how I see it.
Okay, so that makes sense. So from that standpoint, how do you decide, or do you even decide if it falls under the protection category or if it falls under the just delayed category?
In the present moment or in retrospect?
Well, let's start with retrospect because that's the easiest one.
Mm-hmm. In retrospect, it is the easier one because you have perspective. you can process those memories where, like, for instance, I remembered there was this one time that I was invited to this probably one of the most powerful rooms in the United States, and like I was 24 and dumb and just didn't really know anything about it yet.
Okay.
I didn't really understand, and plus I didn't also have like the maturity to really understand how to utilize anything that was there. Um, but in that room, let's say you had some type of concept. If you had an ironed out concept, you could actually raise funding in that room alone.
Okay.
But I wasn't aware of that yet. I wasn't aligned with that yet because I didn't have the tools to really pull my energetic flow into something like that. Like I just didn't have the education for it, nor did I
Right.
ask the questions for it. I was just kind of also not as confident to ask those questions and ask for that help yet. So I wasn't fully aligned, but I was ready for it if I just asked the questions. In retrospect, delay and protection at the same time because I was around the wrong types of individuals who could have if we didn't have aligned values, so it would have
Right.
combusted if I received that funding at that time.
Right.
Would have combusted, imploded, set fire to the world. Like it was bad. So in retrospect, it was both. Because now I still have access to those individuals, of course, in goodwill and good faith. I'm not going to bring them something just to exploit their resources. But
Right.
I if I had something solid or I had a solid constructed business plan, operation, or any type of product that could help um, mutually benefit myself, them, and of course the world. Trifecta.
Right.
Um, then I can still activate those resources. But for now, I think, yeah, it's good that we waited. It's okay.
So that's an interesting concept because retrospect is obviously easier to identify whether or not something was 100% protection or it was just a delay because something else was not aligned, or if it was a combination of both of it. So how do you decide in the moment?
Yeah, have faith. But for me, that's kind of it. Like you just have to have faith in that moment that like, okay, I've done everything I can do in this moment.
True, but here's the thing that's coming up for me on this is that there are so many times where a delay has happened that it could be something wonky, like your power cutting out. And of course, that's going to delay you from getting work done because you can't turn on your computer, you don't have lights to read, whatever. There's no way of really knowing whether that was a delay, so then that way you have receive a better outcome from completing the task, or if it was delayed to switch your focus because something requires more of your attention immediately. Or if it isn't, well, I don't know if losing power would ever give you protection, but it might.
It
Or,
does. It
or if
can.
it was a protection thing.
Yeah.
So there's so many different moving components on it that it's very interesting as to why we sometimes think that delays are always bad.
Do we always think that?
I grew up believing that delays were always bad. If something was supposed to happen on a certain date at a certain time and it didn't happen, that meant something went wrong previously. Somebody didn't do their job, someone didn't promote, somebody didn't keep their word or complete a task or something, something went wrong somewhere along the way. So then that way the outcome that was desired at this date on this time didn't happen.
That's fascinating because that could be true, yeah, but what can you do about it?
Well, you can't do anything about it. That's the point.
Okay.
But the how everything revolved in me growing up with my household and everything. There were consequences if those deadlines were not met,
So I understand that. My mother and my mother is more of the initiator than I am, which is funny.
right?
Um, so yes, there would be consequences. I understood there would be consequences. Just, don't pay your car bill twice and you'll see what consequences arise.
Yes.
But I don't know. I kind of grew up with like, well, can't do anything about it now. Now you got to just do better moving forward.
Which I like that standpoint now as to using it as a learned lesson, as a way to improve. So then that way, the next time we try that task or next time we buy a car and have to keep track of car payments, for example, you know, we now know what the consequences are versus the first time you go through that. The first time I bought a car, I paid 100% cash for it because I bought it used from the guy down the street. So I had no concept of car payments. It wasn't until two cars later, because my first two cars were very old, very used, and I paid cash for them because I had saved for them. So the first time I had a car payment, the concept as to what would happen when I missed a car payment didn't register in my brain until it actually happened.
So let me also add the fact in like not only like you can't do anything about it now you have to take accountability for the consequences. That's
Right.
additionally part of it.
Yes,
But
that's definitely part of it.
yeah,
Yes.
but like it's just, in my opinion, it's good motivation to not do it again.
It is, but again, a lesson learned because that was not something I had ever experienced before. So these ideas of delays and consequences, for me, if there was a delay, there was always a very negative consequence. There was never a delay and a positive result. It wasn't until I've gotten older and can identify that there have been times that I've paused. And because I paused, I got a better outcome than what I was expecting.
Yeah. Then again, look, to each their own too. So it's your own perspective. You get to
Right?
choose how you shape what's happening in your world. As much as we
Right.
don't believe that, it is true. You can,
Well, we get to define it. We
yeah,
get to give a definition to the events of our lives.
yeah. And then in retrospect, with new information, you can change that definition.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what makes it easier. Like in that moment, you mentioned how do you know? And I'm like, you don't. You just have to trust.
Or that you can just decide in the moment that it's going to be a positive outcome.
Yeah, that could be a trust.
Trust and faith and
Yeah, I'm sorry.
positive outcomes.
My understanding of like faith is it's not like blind faith. It's not like, oh
Right,
yeah, this is gonna happen. But like 5 years ago, I did sorry, let me reframe that. This is gonna happen. I did nothing to make that happen. Like that doesn't make sense to me. That never made sense.
right.
But the idea of like I've done everything I can. Maybe I'm waiting on some wisdom to help me pull all the pieces together.
Mhm.
Maybe I need to declutter something and I'm not aware of it yet. But at this moment in time in the present, maybe I don't know what to do right now, but I will. And that's okay. I think that's so important because also, there was this one story where I know this one person that's very determined. Very determined. Wow, determined. Like it will happen, determined. And this she was going to meet somebody and she was so determined to meet them by I th but for example, 3 o'clock p.m., right?
Right,
It's 2 o'clock. They're leaving their apartment. It only takes 20 minutes to get there. They're going to drop something off to get to this person. Person doesn't answer. Still calls, calls, calls. Still not getting an answer. Gets in the bus, bus stalls. Gets out of the bus, goes to a lift, the tire pops. And this person's like, I'm gonna walk there. By literally 2:58, she walks there. Person answers and says, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry. I just woke up. I had COVID. I still have COVID." Right. That's what she
Oh,
mentioned.
wow.
Yeah, she was like down with COVID. And thankfully, this person goes, I see. Thank you. That was for her protection not to go.
I can see that.
I think that was a true story too. I'm not even kidding. Like I know this
Yeah, no,
person.
no, no. I so see that because I know that there are sometimes that there is that end goal that we are striving so hard to get there that we don't see the well, I'll just call them detour signs that will either A, make the path easier, B, get us there faster, or C, give us a better income than, or not income, but outcome.
Oh yeah, income.
Income too. Yeah.
Bring us to
So,
the
oh
income.
yeah, give me a better income. But will give us that better outcome than what we originally anticipated.
Yeah.
And I'll give a great example on this one. The call that I was on before we started recording today. Okay. This person and I had been messaging back and forth on Facebook and finally agreed to hop on a call and have a chat to learn more about what I do and more about what they do. So I initially booked it for Saturday afternoon. I sat waiting for the host to start the Zoom meeting for 15 minutes. Sent a message. Hope all is well. I've been waiting. Haven't heard from you. I'm going to go ahead and reschedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I rescheduled for Tuesday. Now, I'm going to blame it on the universe, but it's really my fault. I put it on my calendar for 2 p.m. Eastern. I don't know why, but when the time sprung forward, it didn't change right, or I put it in wrong or something, but I was an hour late
I see.
for that call I was supposed to have with her on Tuesday. As soon as when I realized it, I messaged and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I must have put it on my calendar wrong. Don't know what happened. Let's try it again and reschedule it for Friday. So I rescheduled it for today, which is a good thing because what was scheduled as a 30-minute call ended up being an hour-long call and some great opportunities for her and some for great opportunities for me came out of the result of that conversation because we had a little bit more time and could have a little bit more of an in-depth getting to know you call
Great.
for it. So it opened up new possibilities and new opportunities that I might not have gotten on Tuesday when I was trying to squeeze it in between other stuff. Or maybe it wouldn't work for her on Saturday because, her schedule was crazy. I don't know. So I can look back on it and be like, yes, these delays turned out to a really great phone call, and I can see all of these great possibilities and opportunities coming up. Instead of, well, she didn't show up for her phone call, so I'm not going to show up for my phone call, and we're just going to see what happens. That was very snarky, and I apologize. That is not how I think.
Does anyone else think like? Sorry, folks. If you
I've
do
I've
think like
heard
that,
people say stuff like that. That's why I
I
did
mean, if
it.
you think like that, I don't judge, but it'll. If you think otherwise, I promise you, it'll be less painful.
Yeah, a little bit more grace, a little bit more. I mean, I still don't know what happened to the Saturday call. And in the past, we'll say 10 years ago, if I had a scheduled call with someone and I was there and they didn't show up, I would get mad because they weren't respecting my time. What I chose was to offer grace and concern, make sure she's okay. hope everything's okay, and I'll reschedule a call for the next time because I don't know what's going on in her world.
Is it bad that that's my normal thought? Like if somebody misses a meeting, I'm like, are they alive? Like I
Well, again,
hope it's not like
again,
it's not common, but I'm like
different
for
is,
this.
as I've grown, as I've healed, as I've learned more, there's been this shift as to recognizing that one, the world does not revolve around me, and two, you know, there are legitimate reasons for appointments not being kept or made on time
I agree with
because we
that.
don't know what's going on in the world.
Yeah, I normally think they're in like trouble. Like that's
Yeah, I know, I understand.
my
Because you would,
expectation.
which is one of the reasons why when it got to be 5 minutes before I was supposed to hop on this call with you, I sent you a quick text message that said, "Hey, I'm still on a call. I'll be there as soon as possible."
Thankfully, because otherwise I would have been like I would have actually called your son if I found his number. I would have been like, "Are you okay?" And I know that's not a norm. I actually genuinely care about people, so like it if I don't know you, sometimes I'm like, ah, okay, well maybe they just I don't know something's going on, and that's okay because I don't have to continue to meet with you anyways. Like that's me. I'm
Right,
like very detached in that way. But if I'm working with somebody continuously and they're late for something and they're normally super punctual, I'm nervous. I'm like, are they okay? And it's not anything to do with my own self-worth. It has everything to do with like they're not here and they haven't mentioned anything.
right.
And then my mind goes to life or death. I care. Go ahead, please continue.
No, but I love that because we're not always everyone is not raised the same way. E- Everyone's raised with different beliefs, different rules, different experiences. So having that thought of holding grace because I don't know why the other person didn't show up, shit raises my vibration. It keeps me in a state of gratitude
Mm,
instead of anger or
mm,
frustration
mm,
or disappointment
mm.
or these negative vibrations. My goal is to raise, I mean, you've heard me say it a million times. My goal is to raise the positivity level of the planet. How am I going to do that? I have to start with me,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
one silly comment at a time.
It helps, right? Yeah.
It does help.
It's also
It
just when your frequency is good, it helps everyone else's poles also kind of align
right.
using that
It's
method.
like walking into a room and being the first person to smile or the first person to dance. It becomes contagious.
Yeah, especially with liquid courage. Gets everyone moving. Liquid
That's
courage,
true.
liquid courage could be an apple cider vinegar shot. Just, I'm not encouraging
Though,
things, but
y- yes, but there are times that you do not need alcohol to be the first one to start dancing or something like that.
apple cider vinegar shot.
Oh,
It gives you the same like feeling of a regular shot. Fun tidbit for the day.
I
It's also
tried apple cider vinegar one time and it was not a pleasant experience. We will say that.
so I know that there's no kids out there that does this, but I did this when I was a kid. I was like the kid that would pour like a tablespoon of apple cider vinegar and just like because I love apple cider vinegar. I love the taste of it. I would just gulp it like sugar.
Maybe it was I don't know, the one time that because I was told, I don't remember if it was to get over a cold or a sinus infection or something, but I was told it would make me feel better
Yeah.
if I did. I think it was one of those little medicine cups that you get like with your cough medicine or whatever that is like 2 tablespoons. So I remember my mom giving me 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and said to shoot it, just get it down because you don't want to really like let it sit on your tongue because it's vinegar. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Well, needless to say, the reaction I had was the shot going down and then me coughing and it coming up through my nose. Burns like nothing I've ever experienced before. It cleared out my sinuses, but I don't think that's how it was supposed to work.
See, now is that delay protection or like benefit?
Exactly. But the smell of apple cider vinegar right now takes me back to that memory, and I'm just like, nope, no, thank you.
I get that. I get that. Oh my. Yeah. So
But
on that,
yeah, so yeah, I could say that it was a benefit because it cleared out my sinuses. I wouldn't recommend it.
well, let's put that into perspective too. Let's take the wisdom of that. Um, I love how you're like, where are you taking me here? Um,
Yeah, what's the wisdom in not doing shots of apple cider vinegar?
well, let's take the wisdom of like it happened in the way you didn't expect it to happen, and it.
Well, oh, yeah, or the fact that I have now learned that apple cider vinegar is not a good thing for Katie to have.
There's that, but it cleared her sinuses. So
But
like
it cleared my sinuses.
it's
So, okay, next time I have no, I'm not going
you
to
don't
promise
need
it.
to
I'm
do
not
that
going to
one.
promise it. Nope, I'm never going to have another sinus infection. I'm never going to have to test the method. Thank you.
Yeah, you don't need to do it that way. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's more just that's funny. It's more just things happen in the ways that you don't expect towards what you
Oh
want.
yeah.
So yeah, like I honestly believe that on this Buddhist phrase, desire our desires lead to enlightenment. So the idea of like you do attract or pull in the things that you desire. You do.
Right. The law of attraction.
Sure. Buddhist term, it's more just it's on
I'm,
a
I'm I'm saying it because a lot of people are starting to hear that phrase a lot in the last
yeah,
couple of years.
yeah,
So, for
yeah.
context, that it's similar to the law of attraction.
As a translation type of word,
Right.
it's similar to that, but it goes it's a little deeper in the sense of um we do have it already within us. It's just going to show up in a different form. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why it's a little bit different than the law of attraction. It's more just like it's already innately here.
Right.
Now, how do we
Bring it to the surface, so to
bring it
speak.
to the surface? Yeah, and how do we utilize it? How do we remove any blockages separating us from what we want because we think it's not within us, if that makes sense. Like for instance, um, some of us want abundance.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of doubts that are in between us and believing that we can have it,
Right.
or be in the flow of it, or be in the state of it. And once we refine whatever those blockages are within us, it just shows up in a reality.
True. And there's many different perspectives on that, but I like the idea of it innately being in you and just these other things are kind of getting in the way. And it's really funny because what's coming to mind is the scene from Sister Act,
Which one?
the first one.
Okay, which scene?
The one where I don't remember which sister it was. She was the mild, timid one
Oh, the
who
one that
would
like it had the voice.
the one that when she was like going and like barely bringing anything out until all of a sudden um Whoopi Goldberg or Sister Mary Clarence, the character's name, um pushed on her ab and all of a sudden her voice projected. And it
Exactly.
was a gorgeous tone. She had it in her, she just didn't know how to access it.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, it's very similar. And then once we kind of refine that and fine tune it,
Hmm.
then we're air quotes more aligned with those resources, even though it's already within you. It's just like it's getting to the level where you can see it
Right.
and have the confidence to harness that.
And being committed to do the thing to grow it, to flex the muscles, to build the discipline to continue to remove those lingering limiting beliefs that come up. So then that way you can then become the athlete, the dancer, the singer, full of abundance,
Yeah. It's
whatever it
the
is.
Yeah, and it's what's amazing is like as you can tell because the Olympics just passed.
Hmm.
When you think about Olympic athletes, they keep refining, 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 refining. They have that inner motivation already, but that's been a practiced inner motivation where they've been overcoming their fears for years until they understand that as long as they continue to refine, 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 the mistake, there's like zero, there's almost there's less of a chance for a mistake by far.
Right. Their results become more predictable.
Predictable in the sense, yes, but then it's also refining and clearing out the fear that they'll make mistakes again. It's
Right.
very fascinating. So what you're doing is you're fine tuning until all the doubt is gone, until the you can trust your inner voice telling you this is right. You can trust your body to the point where you know that it'll just be second nature to you because they've refined and practiced and fine-tuned themselves so much. And that's very similar to the respect of what you want once you align yourself in that way where you remove the frequencies of doubts or
Hmm.
inner turmoil or inner conflict or sometimes guilt or shame. Once you process and release those, that's when you're fully aligned with what you truly want.
True. And
Unless it's something that you really shouldn't want. Because like that guy, like that guy, I'm really glad that was
like that
delayed.
guy.
That one guy that I shouldn't have wanted to date, but I wasn't aware why I shouldn't have wanted to date them. Now I am. And now I'm like fully aligned with not that.
Well, yeah, but we also have to take into the context that you did not have either A, something to compare and contrast it with, or B, have the self-knowledge, the time that had passed, the self-worth evaluation, all of
Yes.
these other components, which then brings you clarity that now you know that would have been a bad decision.
Yes. Additionally, I worked on my fear of abandonment, right? Because that's like
Right.
it's like one of the
It's a
four
very real thing. Yeah.
very real major fear, right? So the fear of abandonment can be almost debilitating. It's what that's why a lot of people have separation anxiety as a child. And when they're not fully, if it's not fully treated when you're younger, it festers into adulthood. And that's when you get
It
these,
will, yeah, it grows. It definitely grows.
you get these types of individuals that are super attached to you in a familial sense. And once I worked on that, like I looked at this person and went, oh, you're a different color than I remember. Like just a completely different person.
True, which makes sense because we're seeing it through a particular lens. We're seeing it through a certain perspective
And
based
frequency.
on the or frequency the that we have at that particular moment then compared to now.
Yeah, being plagued by a specific fear that I didn't work on or wasn't aware that I needed to work on too. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can understand that completely as well because I mean, only because I have had the same thing with abandonment.
Hmm.
And I had not realized it until I heard my mom describe a memory of myself and my sister Stephanie are 18 months apart. Um, so I would have been just shy of 2 years old, or maybe a little bit of, or just past my second birthday when I got sick and had to stay overnight in the hospital. My mom said that she came to visit me in the hospital with Stephanie in her arms and then had to leave because visiting hours were over. And that it broke her heart hearing me cry as she walked away. Doing all of the work that I have done, I was able to go back and realize that I had thought I was being replaced.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, so I struggled with abandonment issues for the longest time, not being able to identify the fact that these were actually abandonment concerns. Until I started doing all of this work with self-healing and remapping my brain and rewiring limiting beliefs and resolving my own trauma.
Isn't it great when you do it? Because then you're like
It
free.
it is, but it still is a very interesting perspective because now I can go back and I can discuss the fact as to, yeah, I thought my mom abandoned me for my younger sister. Stephanie, I'm watching you.
Ooh.
And I could joke about it
Oh.
now.
Oh.
And
Yes.
there's so many great stories now that I can share because of the fact that I realized that they weren't as traumatic as I first thought, because
Mm.
I thought they were connected to this idea of me being replaced or abandoned or no longer wanted,
Mm-hmm.
which I have all this other evidence that's not true. How do I know? Because my mom still talks to me.
Oh, isn't that nice? But at
Thank
the
you,
same,
mom.
yeah. Well, additionally, I find that if we don't voice it, if we don't
Oh,
finally
yeah.
like acknowledge what it is, um, and sometimes we just ruminate in it, right? That can keep you at that lower frequency
It,
level.
it keeps you stuck, it keeps you stagnant.
Exactly, until you do release it. And then once you do release it, sometimes those delays are gone. It's just like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh, what? And that's additional to it is like sometimes when we, with new levels come new devils, right? But if we don't like overcome the devils that are holding us back earlier, we wouldn't be able to achieve more, if that makes sense.
true. No, it does make sense.
Yeah.
And it makes me realize for example, that was one of the things that I used to love about roller coasters. It was a way to face a fear that I had.
Oh, that's why I'm watching horror flicks. I just had to,
Are
I
you
felt
facing a fear today, Ace?
well, no, because Katie and I were talking, and I was like, before we started this podcast, I'm like, I have no idea why, but I keep watching these, these. I'm like drawn to watch horror movies, and I'm not interested in horror movies normally, but apparently it's giving me the adrenaline, blah, 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 the adrenaline that I need.
That's a good possibility for it.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, no, it's true. Yeah, go ahead. Please continue.
No, I was just thinking that the the whole conversation that we've had in reference to delays and limiting beliefs and the facing our fears and recognizing these gifts that we have and being willing to nurture and cultivate and expand on them. I'm pretty much we're talking about just human existence. It's something that everyone goes through at some point in their time where they have to question what it is that we are doing and how are we going to move forward to make things better, either for ourselves or for somebody else or for the world.
Yeah.
So that was my aha.
And that's a beautiful aha that we shall end this episode on. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on Touched and Empowered. We look forward to speaking with you soon.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye. If this conversation stirred something in you, don't just sit with it, work with it. You can go deeper with us through our sessions, workshops, and community experiences designed to support your growth in real time.
All the details are in the show notes, and if this episode resonated, share it with someone who's ready to meet themselves a little more honestly. Until next time, challenge what you believe.
Choose who you become.